don't even know what this is.
I was drawn to this.
1900s, and they were fascinated with the Lindbergh kidnapping. You know what this is?
Mm-mm.
This is the baby Lindbergh. It was Charles Lindbergh was one of the most famous people back in the 1930s. And these people were fascinated with it, so they started saving all of the when he was a baby, and then of course the big, they called this the crime of the century. This is rare in and of itself. 1932, May 12th, when they found the baby.
Oh my God.
Found it dead without a head.
No way.
And he's world famous, you know. He's with
What the fuck?
He's with the president. Charles Lindbergh, first person to sail around the world, you know, he's a pretty famous guy. So it was a massive thing. You don't see many of these original papers like this, but
Yeah.
they saved everything. They saved the arrest of this guy. They think did it. Bruno Hampton.
Wow.
Saved all of the investigation. Here's with the house. The President Hoover himself ordered an investigation. I mean, he was a big-time famous guy. It was known as the crime of the century. But these people were really into it.
Wow.
And they saved all of this stuff. Hoover's order, hunt down the kidnappers. So
This is really like well put together, actually.
for the 1930s, it's pretty cool. And then this is neat because,
I like how they folded up the articles and stuff.
well, this is the other part of it. And the other part of it is the owner of this book lived in this house. And this is a real famous house. It's so famous because he was born in it. This guy, Williams, he was born in it, lived in it his entire life for 66 years. Well, this is the
What
original
does Ripley
photo.
have to do with it?
This photo was submitted to Ripley's, and Ripley's did a piece on him, caricature. You know how he used to do these?
Yeah.
So he drew this, but here's the original photos that they used.
Yeah.
This is the photo that he used of that, and then the photo that he used of the house. Here's correspondence from Ripley. There's a letter in here too. It's all from Ripley.
That's so cool.
And then they were asking him if he'd be interested. He said he was, and they sent the photos, and then they exchanged the photos. That's what all this is. But there's a ton of other stuff in here. But these guys end up being the world record setters for married the longest. They were married for 66 years. And what's cool about this is you can watch this go from 62, 63, 65, all the way up to 66. This is 62, so it's a little out of order. But and then you get, which is kind of creepy, is you get their obituaries. So I mean, these are all their animals. And this is the coolest picture of the house because the house is actually famous. It's up in Marblehead. Actually, we were in Marblehead. Remember doing a photo shoot in Salem. Here's their. Let's see, that's everybody. Goes all the way back to their obituaries. There's the original house photo sent to Ripley's right here. This is a famous house. They now got it plaqued. It's preserved.
Wow.
But that house is in Marblehead. This is all their family.
Dude.
I'm gonna get to
That image though.
obituaries. They're pretty wild. I don't know why I'm not seeing them now. Here they are, I think. 63rd wedding anniversary. You know, I had them. Did some weird.
Is that?
They were just little.
I thought husband is dead and family ill.
No.
I thought I saw something else. I thought I saw.
They were just little articles here on the end. There. And they got it all the way covered, and this was his, so it must be his children that finished it. But here they just did an article on him that they were married for 66 years, and they said the life expectancy is not even 66 for a person, let alone to be married that long.
Yeah.
And this is in the same year that he dies, so he might die just weeks apart, and then she dies weeks apart from that. That's Rebecca Dennis, and his name was William Dennis. What's cool is they actually, Ripley's returned to the original photos.
Careful.
Turn the original photos to these guys. They had a lot of silly stuff in here, it's funny. They had a good sense of humor, but it was his scrapbook.
And
But
he
yeah,
was
this
obsessed
is-
with the collecting of the
he had the crime stuff. Yeah, there's other crime stuff in here, but yeah, this is what's neat. 1930 letters from Ripley's is pretty neat. It's just a secretary, but still their corporate letterhead.
Wow. Oh, the people on the
And
side.
they said, we're going to print it on 4/7. And if you go and you look, April 7th, 4/7, 1931. 80 years ago. But yeah, the original photos, this one is what they had sent in. You can see the likeness in it compared to that.
Yeah.
And then the house picture is actually really cool. Like I said, that house is famous for a number of reasons, and it's just because he lived in it. There's some famous general that died there.
It'd be cool to go to that house with this book.
Well, Marblehead, I know they'd be interested to see how come it surfaced down to St. Augustine, Florida. But this is from the 1930s.
I just love all the photographs.
Oh, that's cool. There's a lot of stuff going on in here.
I like when people write on the back of photographs too.
I mean, look at these old with the horses and stuff. This is when the propane, they must have been proud when the first ovens come out that use propane. 1930s. DuPont. Here he's with his horse. Yeah, it's definitely a time period it's been around for. There's his old Model T. It's all original photos. Aren't their Model T in front of their house? Some of them have come dislodged.
It's hard to get to focus.
Yeah, you go from Robert Ripley, so he had some a little bit of fame. That was just 15 minutes, I guess. To where they were studying the Lindbergh. That was the trial of the century during their lifetime, and then it covers their entire life too. Where
Oh my God.
yeah, it's pretty neat. 1931. They said it'll be an April 7th edition. There it is, April 7th edition. William Dennis has lived in the same house for 82 years, one in which he was born, Marblehead, Massachusetts. And then that, like I said, the coolest thing about that is the photo, the massive photo. 'Cause this is a big photo for those days. Doesn't matter. There's miscellaneous.
You need to keep all of these together.
Coolest thing.
This
is
history.
Where's that big photo again? That's the coolest thing. You don't get photos that size very often. Somebody came in and took a professional photo of that Marblehead property. Oh, I'm having trouble finding stuff. It's not that big of a book. Here, look at that. That's the Marblehead property. You can see it. Ripley drew it exact. But that's the picture they had. That's probably why they did it. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, they probably sent that in. That's exactly why they did it. Cobalt Studios, Massachusetts. So that's why, because it was published. But yeah, so
That might be the original photo that they actually used to send in.
I think it's what it is. But this was cool. I
Or
thought,
no,
he
because
was
like there's no
actually-
plaque on there.
He was in Ripley's.
Yeah. Oh.
Here's another picture of their house. Just their houses. All of these articles after the trial of the Lindbergh are all about their house. They got a ton of exposure on that house.
Why though?
You gotta read it.
What's the connection to the?
Well, it's been around forever. It used to be King George's Tavern.
Well, what's the connection to the murder though? That like.
Well, this, I don't know that there's any connection to that. It's just,
Oh.
it was known as King George's Tavern. That's how long it's been around. I mean, and then it was known as Captain Tucker's house. Captain Tucker ended up being a general in the Army, and then this old timer moved in, and he lived in there for 80 years, and now I'm sure it's a museum. But no, this was just, these old timers were fascinated, as everybody was. This was a really big deal. It was called the crime of the century at the time. But these are original clippings from the 1930s. That's from, every one of these is from when they were doing the investigation. That was the old wanted poster.
1932.
They were still looking for him. Hey, beautiful. Really pretty baby. That's why it was also so tragic. That's when they find the body. But when you look at this stuff, it might as well be today, let alone almost 100 years ago. That was the baby that was missing. They still don't know how the kidnappers got into the house because they lived in obviously a mansion.
You don't think the parents did it?
No, God, no. He was really famous. I think they ended up convicting somebody for it, but I guess to look it up. But this is really, like I said, it's interesting. I mean, who would take to behead a baby?
Who would?
Back in the 1930s. And this one was born. I mean, they followed it from even when he was born. That's what's neat about it. Like, this is way before he was kidnapped. 2 years before. You see how small it is. So they were following it because it was just Charles Lindbergh. This is the coolest thing, because this is the actual. Look how crazy you'd say. Baby found dead. You mentioned seeing that.
I know. In bright red.
Body found near the Lindbergh home. Truck driver and Negro companion found badly decomposed body where it had evidently lain since child was stolen. His Negro companion.
That's sketchy, man.
That's who found it. The hole above the forehead told the manner of its death. I guess he shot it in the head. Maybe he didn't find it without its head. There. William Allen, a Negro, was riding.
Racist newspapers.
Just a second. I wonder if that's relation to them. William Allen. What did I say this guy's name was?
His last name was Dennis.
Oh, was it William Dennis?
I think it was William Dennis.
'Cause I don't know why they were like so into this trial. Yeah, William Dennis.
Yeah, but maybe these have, is his middle name on here? No, it's William B. Dennis.
I actually don't know the whole story to it. They stopped the truck near the woods, went into the woods on the mount. He saw a skeleton on the ground, a person's foot